Okay. Well, you see this a lot where I set cables because they're set on deer trails, of course, and you see the deer will kick them down and knock them. They'll brush by them and knock them down. You see here, if you look behind me, deer trail, deer trail, deer trail. The whole place is just deer trails. There's another one that goes through out there. I have a cable on that too. You just have to deal with that. I'm gonna reset the cable here and it'll be fine. The deer, all the deer's gonna do is knock on it. Even if they step in it, there's a deer step on it, he'll just pull his leg out of it and away he goes. There's no issue with that. But be used to this, especially if you're setting anywhere there's deer. I mean, I have a lot of whitetail deer, lots. And I'll deal with this sometimes every night. It gets frustrating when, now of course there's no snow, but it gets frustrating when I see it knocked down and then I'll see a set of deer tracks, and then right behind it there'll be a set of canine tracks that'll go through it, and he's like, well, the deer knocked it down before the canine got to it. But you just have to deal with it. It's something you get used to. See this trail. See where the cable got knocked down right there. But it's just tore up with deer footprints. I mean, it's soft and muddy because the ground is not frozen anymore, but you can actually see how they've got it tore up from walking on it. But the coyotes follow deer trails, so the foxes, that's what they do. Okay, you can see I just reset this cable, but you can see right beyond it there's a deer print. And you can see the trail here though, where they're going through the goldenrod. I mean, this is ideal for a cable. Absolutely ideal. You see how I have the cable set? I have a little chin lifter stick underneath it, right there. So you want to watch your height. So you want at least 6 inches. State law minimum for my state is 6 inches from the cable to the hard ground below it. So that's good. 6 to 8 inches is good for fox. I think if you go by 6 inches high, 6 inches round, for a coyote you want 8 inches high, 8 inches round. That's kind of a rough guide. Like I said, that depends on what state you live in, depends on the size of the animals. But you see here the way I had the lock, like right at the top of the cable. Now this is 1x19 cable, so it's pretty slick. You see I have the cable set here. Now you can actually pre-form the cable. It's what they call loading it. Leather gloves are better for it than the rubber gloves, but if you run it through your hand and it'll like pre-form a nice curve in it, you want the cable as round as possible. You see here, this cable is nice and round. It's not like oblong or, you know, oddly shaped to where it's hanging rough. But as soon as something touches it, it fires right away. That's what you want. I mean, I just barely touched that. Now, the fox or the coyote, the gray fox, that's whatever type of canine we're after here, it's going to be running through here. As soon as he catches that, boom, it's falling right on him and he can't get it back off. So that's what you want. I like the 1x19 cable because it's really slick. It's really slick. I'll pull up brush, you know, either side of it, like I have the grass here up on the cable, so it makes it harder for them to see. But you have to remember, you know, you're looking at it from up here. The fox is looking at it from down here. So that's what he's saying. He's seeing a nice easy hole there to go through. January 7th. No, it's January 8th, Sunday. And I'm practically in a t-shirt. How absolutely awful is that? My dirt hole here that I had set, I caught a big grinner in that. First catch of 2023 was a big grinner. I didn't have my camera with me though, but that was the first animal I caught in it. And I reset it yesterday here with my wife. We reset that, so that's ready to go. I'm gonna put some more sets in today. Dealing with back freaking pain issues. So I'm not gonna push myself too hard, but I do want to get some more cables out, and I want to get a couple more footholds out. I want to put one down by the pond now that the ground is not frozen like a rock. 2 weeks ago, approximately 2 weeks ago, when I set these cables originally,
It was down to the negative, 10, -10, -15 normally, and the ground was like frozen like a freaking rock. It was concrete. I was chipping pieces out of the ground, and now it's a mud hole. And I've watched guys all up and down the East Coast, and they're dealing with the same problem. They're dealing with the same problem, super mild conditions, and it makes it very tough. Now, some of the parts of the fields in here, especially in here, this is a water drainage. That's why the goldenrod grows in here so easily. There's springs everywhere, there's water everywhere. And that's what makes it good agricultural land. This is all farmland. But it's all clay. It's not sandy soil, it's all like red clay, dark clay, and it holds water like a bog. So if I catch something in here that's not on high land, it's just a mud ball. It's a mud ball. So it makes it pretty difficult. It's difficult to set traps in like soup. And if you make a catch on something, it's pretty much useless. You're not going to reset it. It's the same with these trails here. If I catch something, I have lengths of trails that I can work with, but if I can make a catch in one of those cables, that area for that set is pretty much done because they've flattened the whole piece down. So I have to go either, before or after where I caught them to set another cable in it. But that's okay. It's just a waiting game. I haven't seen any canine activity. It snowed here around Christmas time, a little after Christmas time. There was snow on the ground, and I did see fox prints running through here. I haven't seen any hit on the road. Sometimes I get canine lost, but they get hit on the highway. There's a big highway that's just to my left here, and it's a few hundred yards away. But they do get hit on that road because they'll cross. There's farms all around here, and they'll cross from here, from this farm to the next farm, and the next farm over. They just keep moving around. But I haven't seen any hit on the road. But my canine activity has been really, really dead. Absolutely dead. We had seen fox here too. Landowner and I both had seen red fox during the end of the gun season. But I've had these cables out for, like I said, 2 weeks, and the only thing that's knocked them down is deer. I haven't seen any fresh droppings, or no catches in the cables yet, but I'm going to wait it out. Just going to wait it out. I know it's a pain in the ass checking them every day, but that's how it is. That's how it is. I had coon. I have some DPs over here in the tractor path where I did catch some coon. I caught that grinner here the other day, but other than that, that's about it. Oh, the wildcat. That was funny. That was funny. All right, let's get to setting some traps. All right, let's get this cable in here. Okay, so don't be afraid to pull up some grass just for a little bit of funneling. Not too much. That doesn't mean like completely alter the surroundings on the trail. You don't want to do that. If an animal's been in here and he's used to seeing it, he'll be very suspicious of it if it's like grossly different than what he's seen before. The grass here is good for hiding my cable. I'm gonna put my stake in from this side, drive that down into the ground. Right about there. The ground's not frozen today, it's much easier. My support. Setting cables is quick. You want it to be quick. You want to put out a bunch of them as quick as you can, as many as you can. Cables are not using an attractant. You don't use bait or lure. You don't want any type of scent. You can even see I'm not handling the cable with bare hands. I don't want any scent or lure or anything that's going to make the animal stop and want to smell something or stop and want to pee on something. You just want them bombing through this trail looking for mice or chipmunks or wherever else, squirrels or wherever else he's after. See, I keep my cables in the 1 gallon Ziploc bag, dollar store, $1.25. Go buy a bunch of those. Get your cables, roll them up neatly so they don't get tangled, they're not getting kinked, they're not getting broke. I'm going to set the cable that direction. So my cable is going to sit here when we're done. See my trap tag. I got a quick connect. Always make sure that those quick connects, if you're using those chain link quick connects like that, you see it against my shirt, make sure that that is tight. Get a wrench, put the wrench on it, put a screwdriver in it, tighten it, and then make sure it's tight. Because when the animal is running around and around and around, if that rolls that barrel, it's going to open and he will get away. I use wolf fang anchors on all my cables. They'll go into hard ground like I have here. See my driver? Look, I even painted the end of it orange. I learned my mistake after last year when I left it in the snow and it melted and sank into the snow. You'll see top part of the ground is pretty soft and then it's going to get real hard. I'm going to go all the way down with the anchor, tap it. I have to use my hammer, tap her back out. Well, I like that it's orange because I can see it even though I lay it in the grass. You don't want to be leaving gear and then having to walk back. I'm going to set my anchor. And I'm going to cover that with the grass. Now, another good trick is if you're setting cables on one trail, a lot of times I'll set one for a coyote and one for a fox. So a coyote can get caught in a fox cable too. You might not like squeezing his head through a smaller hole, but it's a good way to double your chances. I don't see a lot of coyote. I see more fox than I do coyote. So we're going to use my cable anchor. I like the plastic anchors instead of the metal anchors, the screw anchors. They can be, they work, but I think the tubing ones are better. That's pretty close to where I want it. Size-wise, I'm going to pull the grass in a little bit here just to make sure he follows that. The deer walk this down, the snow will flatten it down. You know, it's okay to flip it back up a little bit, that's all right. You can also slide the cable down through your swivel to pull it in to hide it a little better. I can pull up some grass this way. I can pull up some grass this way, hide my anchor. You want the cable sitting flat up and down. You want it to be, you know, pretty much perpendicular to the trail as you can. I have it wrapped on it's wrapped a little bit on my anchor. That's better. Get it on there tight. Pull it down that way. That way a cable will sit as flat as possible. My hammer. Check my height. So that cable is pretty much ready to go. To load the cable, you bring it through your hand this way. Makes it like a pre-bent loop in it. And what I want to do is get that up a little bit there. Bring it this way a little bit. Now when it's at the top of the arc there, boom, it's going to fire right away. That's exactly what we want. That is exactly what we want. That's what's nice about the wire anchors. You can manipulate the cable to sit whatever way you want. Check my height because I moved it a little bit. Now flip our set. Hide my cable on this side with the grass. Want to stay in the trail. Don't try and not walk, you know, outside of the trail where you're at. That way you can maintain the trail and not break pieces down on it. Like I said, you can see that this goes out. This actually splits into two more trails. There's another trail that goes that way, and the deer have it all mashed down. Actually, where they had the camera, it's so many deer footprints in it. it's mud. That's all it is. Now you can also, if you want to, now that the ground is soft, use your driver, push a hole in the ground, and get some of the goldenrod in here and push the goldenrod in the ground. That's not going to be entanglement, it'll just break. It'll just snap off. We can do that too. I'll get another piece over here. That hole is big enough for that, and I can put it in the hole there. This is dry already, it's already dead, but see, I can kind of guide that cable as much as I want. That's perfect. All right, on to the next one. Gather up our gear, and away we go.